to promise me if Valentine ever gets to me.
Well, hello there, and welcome back to What Happened, where tonight it's all about Season 2, Episode 9 of Shadowhunters, called Bound by Blood. Now, with only one more episode left after this episode and the half of the season, let's just say shit's getting real, things are getting turned up, and all the drama is about to come to a head. So let's get this recap started. Alright, so I'm gonna kick this recap off once again with Miss Izzy. Oh, Izzy. You've just fallen so far down that rabbit hole of addiction. I really kind of miss the old Izzy. Anyway, we first see Izzy in the episode when she's in Aldertree's office. She's doing her best to try to convince everyone that she's fine. But of course, he makes a jerk remark saying he's very impressed she looks so recovered, since it usually takes people weeks to recover from Yin-Fen. Izzy assures him that she is in fact fine, which we know she's not. And then he thinks, oh hey, like, this is totally a great time to ask someone out on a kind of sort of date or to dinner right after I've basically gotten her addicted to something. Then I've insulted her. Perfect timing, right? Well, poor Aldertree. He really kind of needs to learn some social etiquette. Izzy thankfully turns him down, but you know, this probably won't sit well with Aldertree. He tends to like to hold grudges. Alec is finally realizing that there's something wrong with Izzy, so he goes to confront Aldertree saying that Izzy's been acting weird ever since he sent her to the Iron Sisters and what's been going on. And of course, Aldertree, being the jerk that he is, threatens Alec.
I think you're being paranoid. After what happened at your brother's party, perhaps I should recommend you for a psych evaluation. I'm just trying to help. Now, I would ask yourself, is making insinuations about me really the road you want to go down?
We then see Raphael and Izzy at his place cooking together, and it's actually like sharing a sweet little moment. Raphael opens up to her, telling her that he actually cooks dinner every Sunday because he drops meals off at a Catholic retirement home in Harlem. He explains that he goes and drops them off because his little sister, who's 78, actually lives there, but she doesn't really remember him, and the thing is, he can't forget about her though. Now, everybody say it with me. Aww, right? That's actually super sweet. And Raphael, he seems like such a good guy until the moment is ruined. Damn it, Izzy, like, are you just using this poor vampire and stringing him along? Because it's just not fair. He keeps showing these new sides of himself, and you just want his venom. Now, Alec is still on his quest to find answers about Izzy's behavior, so he goes to see Magnus, who has said that he sort of knows where Izzy is. When Alec gets to Magnus's place, he kind of goes there and compares him to one of the worst people you could compare him to, Aldertree.
You said you know where Izzy is?
Well, not exactly.
You know, I expect this from Aldertree, but not from you.
Magnus then explains to Alec that he saw Izzy trying to buy Yin-Fen, that she lied to him saying she was on some undercover mission, but then during a meeting at the Jade Wolf with other Downworlders, he realized that Izzy has been getting her fix straight from the source, Raphael. Let's just say Alec is now pissed that all this information has been withheld from him. He then goes and busts into Raphael's and of course punches Raphael, and that's when Raphael drops a bomb.
You don't understand. It was Aldertree who got her addicted to the infant. What is the truth? I was only trying to help.
Yep, it is about time that dirty little Aldertree was exposed. Raphael then tries to tell Alec that what he and Izzy has is different. He actually has feelings for her, which kind of seems to surprise Izzy, who I feel doesn't reciprocate those feelings. Alec continues to go off on Raphael, beating the crap out of him, and he probably would not have stopped punching that poor guy's face if Magnus hadn't popped in just in time to break up the fight. But Alec ends up dragging Izzy out of the house, and then Raphael says to Magnus,
I was lying about what I said. There's something about her. I haven't felt this way in a long time.
Magnus then says to Raphael, let's see if you still feel that same way when you're not getting high. Izzy, of course, doesn't want to go with Alec, and she says at least Raphael's been there for her. It took this long for Alec to even notice something was wrong with Izzy, and she basically tells him to leave her alone. Stop being so overprotective. She's not just his little sister anymore, and she doesn't need his help. At this point, Alec is like really boiling mad, and if you're waiting for someone to push his button one last time in this episode, it happens. Thanks to, you guessed it, Alder Tree. Alec is sending out shadow hunters to look for Clary, which we'll get to in a little bit, when Alder Tree walks in and cancels the order. Alec then shows Alder Tree who is boss, finally, by saying,
Remember how I said that you were hiding something? Supplying Yin Fen to a subordinate. The next field medic should know better. I'm calling the shots. Don't ever threaten my family again.
That's right, sit your ass down, Alder Tree, and pull that stick out your ass and be a team player. Now, before diving into the whole Clary Valentine drama, it's all kind of set up thanks to Maia, or more like, no thanks. When Clary is going to get Simon at one point in this episode, a wolf comes and attacks her out of nowhere. Simon can't really come help her because it's bright outside and he's, well, a vampire. But he manages to hand her an oar, which Clary then uses to smack the wolf away. It's actually pretty impressive considering at this point in the episode, Clary can only really use one hand. The wolf then transforms, and we learn that it is Maia who, in fact, attacked Clary, which is, of course, like a holy crap shocking moment to everyone. Of course, they immediately chain her up, but it's not really what you're thinking. She didn't attack her because she's jealous of Kleiman. She attacked Clary because she was at the party and overheard everything about the soul sword and how Clary can activate it and destroy the downworlders. Maia says she really doesn't want to hurt Clary, but if killing Clary is the price of saving the downworld, she's willing to do it. Now, of course, this doesn't sit well with Luke, who says it's not her decision to make, and then Maia tries to apologize and even apologize to Simon, but he's not having it. Luke then goes and locks Maia up in this little tiny room in the back of the restaurant, which does not sit well with her. She's kind of like freaking out because she's claustrophobic, and she tells Luke, hey, you, jerk, don't put me back here. You know I'm claustrophobic. Luke asks her who knows about the soul sword and Clary, and Maia says that I think everybody probably knows by now. The secret is pretty much out. Maia kind of drops a truth bomb on Luke and says that, hey, all you seem to care about right now is Clary, but you say, hey, you're like my family too, but you're gonna lock me up in this room. Kinda not fair? I don't know. Luke, of course, he chooses to keep Maia locked up, even though she promises him that she will not hurt Clary. Things are definitely not going to be good between these two when Maia eventually breaks out of the room. And she does break out of the room, by the way. Okay, now it's time to dive into this Clary Valentine soul sword Madsy whatnot drama. After a makeout session in a canoe, how romantic, right? It's quickly interrupted awkwardly by Jace, and then Jace and Simon have a fun little moment together.
Been working on my fighting skills.
Really? You want to take this outside and give these fight skills a test run?
Anytime. As soon as the sun goes down.
Oh, Simon, you try to act so tough, but we all know Jace is kind of the tougher one. Well, right after this little moment, Clary ends up wincing in pain, and we see her hands start to just like, turn black. It kind of grosses me out thinking about it. Obviously, when something like this kind of happens, there's only one thing to do. Go see Magnus. So Jace brings Clary to Magnus, and he does some kind of magic to kind of stop the pain, but he says it's burnt flesh and it's from an old blood oath spell that had to have been put on her by Iris. This means that they have to go find little Madsy and return her to Iris before the magic reaches Clary's heart, because at this point, even Iris probably would not be able to reverse the spell, and if the magic reaches Clary's heart, she, well, dies. As Jace, Simon, and Clary head off to try to find Madsy, while Luke stays behind to try to stop the downworlders from hunting Clary. While this is all happening, we see that Valentine has taken little Madsy and all his weird little servant people to a very creepy abandoned carnival theme park because he thinks that's what Madsy would like. We see Dot, who is not looking so hot lately, with Magnus's book trying to figure out these spells and whatever Valentine's like making her do, and she can't do anything with them because of all the injections he's been giving her have kind of been draining her and messing up her magic and her skills. Valentine then says that she needs to teach Madsy because Madsy's pretty powerful beyond her years already. And then he also explains why he wants Madsy around in the first place.
By raising Madsy myself, I'll finally have a warlock that's unconditionally loyal.
Oh, Valentine just manipulating poor little children again. Like, poor Madsy. She's so helpless. She just wants to get back to her nanny, or Iris, whatever you call her. And because she wants to get back to Iris so badly, of course she's gonna do anything that Valentine says because he has a way with words and says that, you just gotta do this one thing and it'll help you get to her. So Dot ends up having to agree to kind of teach Madsy because Valentine tells Dot that if she doesn't, he'll end up giving the injections to Madsy, because this man is just that evil. Jace, Clary, and Simon go on the hunt for clues as to where Madsy could be by going to the park where she was taken from. They notice a homeless man has her scarf, which they need to trace her scent, so Simon is pretty quick on his feet and makes a trade. Jace's sweet leather jacket for a ratty old scarf. Now all three know that it seems kind of too easy the way that they're being able to kind of track down Madsy, and they feel like they're going to be walking into a trap. But they know that they really need to do something to keep Clary from dying, so if finding Madsy means walking into a trap, they kind of have to do it. There's no real choice here. Things start to get a little sappy during the drive to find Madsy as Clary comes to kind of an ultimatum. She tells Jace and Simon that they cannot let Valentine take her alive. She'd rather die than let Valentine destroy everything, so she makes them promise to kill her if Valentine ever gets to her. That's when kind of Simon is like, wait, what? And you can see like all their faces just kind of get sad. And of course that's when one of the guys promises to and the other doesn't.
No. Absolutely not.
If it ever comes to that, I won't let him take you alive.
You probably guessed it right. Jace says that he will obey Clary's wishes, and Simon is just like, no girl, I just got you to finally kiss me. You're not going anywhere, because then I'm going to still be single the rest of my life. Later on, Simon asks Jace if he really meant what he said about killing Clary, and Jace says he didn't mean it. He was just saying it to Clary to kind of give her that satisfaction. And he says that's why he needs to kind of do this next part of their mission alone, which Simon doesn't want to happen. Jace says he wants to go track down Madsy, and that Simon needs to stay with Clary in the van to protect her since she can't really move now. Simon then tells Jace, like, he can't protect her on his own. Like, what's he really gonna do? He just has, like, some fangs, whereas Jace has, like, a sword. So Jace then says, hey, you know what, I'll stay, we'll protect her together, and we'll go find Madsy all together. But then Luke calls Simon, and Jace manages to slip away during the phone call. Now Luke is calling to tell Simon what happened at a meeting he just had with Magnus, Raphael, and Meliorn. Luke thinks they kind of all have a shot at defeating Valentine if they work together. However, someone doesn't think that way. The Seelie Meliorn. He thinks they need to kill Clary right on sight. Now, of course, Magnus and Luke are not too happy about this, and Raphael seems to be kind of on the fence. Meliorn then says that their judgment's kind of clouded because all of them have become too involved with Shadowhunters, and that's when he points to Luke and says Jocelyn, and then he points to Magnus and says Alec, and then he points to Raphael and says Izzy. So like I said earlier, this is kind of where Magnus learns that Izzy and Raphael have been having some kind of a relationship. Raphael is trying so hard to kind of convince them that he's not that attached to Izzy, so he says that if Clary has to die to protect the downworld, so be it. So Luke is basically calling Simon to put him on alert to say, hey, the downworld is falling apart, people may be coming after you, Seelies, vampires, whatnot, they all want Clary dead. We then see Clary and Simon getting all mushy and on top of the van, trying to comfort each other, while Jace is kind of off trying to find Valentine. He ends up finding Valentine and Madsy in a restaurant, and he tells Valentine about the blood oath that Iris has put on Clary and says that if he doesn't give Madsy to him, Clary's going to die. Which, if Clary dies, then Valentine can't carry out his plan with the soul sword. And Jace even tells Valentine that he will let Clary die if he has to, but he knows that Valentine really needs her alive. So Jace returns to Simon and Clary with Madsy, and she uses her skills. And now that Madsy has healed Clary, Jace and Simon actually have another cute little moment.
Told you, didn't I? Couldn't have saved her without you.
Obviously. Thank you for, everything.
Of course, this is short-lived when Madsy all of a sudden creates a portal and grabs Clary and goes through it. That girl's sneaky. Blame Valentine. Clary wakes up in the amusement park with her legs shackled, and of course, that's when Daddy comes to say hello.
Hello again, Carissa. You must still hate me for what happened to your mother. Look, I don't blame you. Jocelyn's death will always be my greatest regret.
Jace and Simon are trying to figure out what to do next when they hear a scream and run upon two downworlders attacking a mundane. Simon says that wasn't normal, and Jace agrees, saying he's seen one of those attackers in Valentine's zoo. One of them isn't a vampire, it's in fact a Seelie, so it's kind of everybody attacking everybody. So it seems like Valentine's having these downworlders attack mundanes, but they're not quite sure why, but Jace thinks it has something to do with the mission of the Soul Sword. So Jace then calls Alec to give him an update, saying, hey, heads up, you know, these attacks are happening, but Alec is already aware that attacks have been happening all over the place. Jace also tells Alec that Valentine has Clary and they need to find her. So Jace and Simon then track down the downworlders from the previous attack and stop them from killing another mundane. And Simon thinks he's killed one and he's going to town wailing on the other one, asking where Valentine is. Well, Simon, if you really want him to talk, you might have to stop beating the crap out of him for a second. Jace is just standing there watching Simon go to town, so I guess maybe Jace is actually sitting there impressed because he said earlier, like, Simon couldn't fight. While they're beating up the Sealy, the other guy gets up and is about to attack them when... Yep, Luke saves the day. Then they find the park and Clary, but no one else seems to be around. So Clary says all of the circle members left in a hurry, and then Valentine returns with Madzi. Jace immediately tries to lunge at Valentine, but Madzi uses her magic to stop him. Clary then tries to convince Madzi that, hey, you know, Valentine is evil and that she's gonna help her get back to Iris, but that's when Valentine uses his freaking manipulation skills to tell Madzi that Clary is in fact the one who started all this trouble in the first place and that she's to blame. Lots of back and forth. This poor kid probably doesn't know what to believe. Simon then comes up from behind Valentine, attempts to try to punch him, and, well, you know how well that went.
Save your magic for what's to come. It's time to go. I'll see you soon, Clarissa.
Now Valentine has captured poor little Simon, and if that isn't incentive enough for Clary to go after Valentine, now I don't know what is. Alright, so things will all come to a head in next week's mid-season finale, which definitely looks like a doozy, so let's roll that promo.
If you don't show up within the hour, your vampire boyfriend will die a death I wouldn't wish upon anyone.
On the winter finale of Shadowhunters.
You have to keep Clary away from that sword. You know that if you touch that, it'll destroy the entire downworld.
I am doing this for you and for the rest of humanity.
Alright, looks like Valentine is giving an ultimatum or setting a time limit, or else Simon is gonna bite the bullet. There's a mallet kiss. We see Izzy upset. There's a Valentine Jace sword fight in there, some more crying. Valentine tries to convince people he's doing the right thing to save humanity again. And then he tries to force Clary to touch the soul sword. Damn. Alright, now it's time to get the discussion going on this episode. What do you think Maia is going to do now that she's escaped and Luke is preoccupied with Clary and Valentine? Do you think Aldertree will finally stop annoying everyone? Will Izzy and Raphael stop feeding off each other? Maybe attempt to have a real relationship? So many questions, so little time, but leave me all your thoughts about this episode in the comments below, or hit me up on social media. Let me know your favorite parts. Let me know what you think is going to happen next week and maybe into the next half of the season. And then come back next week so we can just talk all about the finale, which will most likely leave us on a huge cliffhanger with lots of questions. You can also check out more episodes of What Happened right over here. Until next time, I'm Lisa, and thanks again for hanging with me.